Hello everyone. This video will explain the process by which transactions are processed in the SOFO office, primarily using the virtual green form. After watching this video, there is an exam located on CCC that must be passed by the business manager of each organization with a 75% or higher score in order for your organization to process transactions or access funding through SAC and SOFO. The training and the exam are a requirement for business managers to attend, and your organization will not be able to transact with SOFO until these requirements have been met. Okay, let's get started. For those of you that may be new to your role, you may be wondering, what in the world is SOFO? SOFO is the Student Organization Finance Office. It is where you, as business managers, can initiate transactions and access funds that have been allocated to your student organization. Business managers are the only e-board members that can initiate transactions with SOFO, and every organization must have a business manager identified on their CCC page. An exception form would need to be completed and approved prior to someone other than the business manager initiating a transaction with SOFO. Exceptions may be granted in extenuating circumstances and will be approved on a case-by-case basis. SOFO is located within Wilson Commons. We are located behind the spiral staircase in the back left corner of the Ruth Merrill Center. SOFO is open Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. except on federal holidays. To reach SOFO, the best place to start would be with your designated student accountant. Student accountants can be reached during the designated office hours or by email and may be able to arrange alternative times to meet to discuss questions that you may have. SOFO can process any of the items listed on this slide: online orders and copy center order placement, credit card pickup for local vendors, payment of internal U of R vendors, including ECM, Meliora Catering, and facilities, payment of invoices and contracts for external vendors by check, purchase order requests, and accept cash and check deposits for student organizations. Everything in white starts with a virtual green form, and the item in blue starts with a deposit ticket, which can be found in SOFO. Virtual green forms can take 2 to 3 business days to be fully processed. For example, you cannot submit a green form requesting a credit card on Thursday and expect to pick it up on Friday. Please submit green forms in a timely manner. In order to access the green form, you must log into CCC. You then scroll to the Forms button on the homepage under Campus Links, select the Student Organization button, and then scroll down to the Virtual Green Form link. We would recommend adding the green form to your bookmarks for easy access. I will now walk you through filling out a sample green form. As a student organization, you should always select the Student Organization radio button at the Transaction Request Submitted By question. Next up is the payment methods. You can select from any of these options you see on the screen. Let's dig into the payment methods a bit more. For payment of invoices and contracts, please use the check payment method in the drop-down menu on the virtual green form. As a reminder, the Payable To field should be the legal name that the check should be made payable to. Checks will be issued twice per week. Currently, they are scheduled for Tuesdays and Fridays. Please be sure to plan accordingly, as a check request submitted on a Monday will not be processed in time for the Tuesday cutoff. Also, it's important to note that SOFO will not issue payment unless the documentation provided indicates that it is an invoice and not a quote. All checks are mailed to the vendors, so please be sure to have a valid shipping address. Student organizations that intend to pay someone for services provided, including photography, DJs, etc., must use the WCSA's Standard Agreement Form. This can be accessed by working directly with your advisor. Questions pertaining to the necessity of a contract or standard agreement form can be directed to your advisor as well. In order to process payments to an individual service provider, we must receive a completed and signed W-9 form, which provides us with their tax ID so that a 1099 tax form can be issued by the university for tax implications. Has a non-UR vendor provided you with a quote and they have indicated that they cannot start production or your order until they have received a purchase order, also known as a promise to pay? If you answered yes to this question, you can select Purchase Order as your payment method. A PO will be generated by SOFO and can be retrieved from the SOFO office. If you have questions about POs, please reach out to your student accountant. SOFO has credit cards for the following vendors: Wegmans, Tops, Walmart, Sunoco for gas cards, and Home Depot. Credit cards can be signed during SOFO office hours by the business manager. Credit cards must be returned by end of day the following business day, or a $5 late fee will be assessed per day. For example, if a credit card is signed out on a Monday, it must be returned by Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. If a credit card is signed out on a Friday, it must be returned by Monday at 4:30 p.m. It is important to note, credit cards must always be returned with a receipt. Credit cards and receipts can go in the credit card drop box outside the SOFO office door, or can be left with a SOFO employee in the office. They should never be placed in a mailbox or any other container. Do you have an invoice or quote from ECM, Facilities, or Meliora Catering and Dining? If you answered yes to this question, you can select Facilities, ECM, or Catering as your payment method on the green form. These are examples of standard emails from ECM and Meliora Catering with an invoice and a request for an account number. Please do not provide them with an account number or click the link on the ECM email. Instead, submit a green form and attach the PDF of the invoice. SOFO will take care of the rest. Do you have an order you would like to place online? If you answered yes to this question, you can select Online Credit Card Purchase as your payment method. This selection will trigger logic to ask additional questions related to online purchases. Examples of vendors that might fall under this category are Amazon, Panera Bread, Enterprise Rental Car, BJ's, copy center requests, hotel reservations, and more. For example, how would you like the order placed? Would you like SOFO to order it on your behalf, or would you like to set up a time to meet with someone to place the order in the SOFO office? If you select, yes, please place the order on my behalf, and do not provide the links and the quantities of the items you would like ordered, your form will be sent back to you for edits. Keep watching the chat of the green form submitted to see if SOFO needs more information from you. Organizations that have received approval to travel and require a hotel stay can utilize the SOFO Lucid travel link on this slide. Once the virtual green form has been approved, hotel reservations using the link above can be processed by the business manager outside of SOFO and do not require assistance from SOFO, or they can be placed in person with a SOFO accountant. Please reach out to your student accountant with any questions. How do you determine if you should do an online order for a copy center request or use the Ruth Merrill printer? In general, if you only need 50 or less color or black and white copies on standard paper sizes, Ruth Merrill printer will be quicker, cheaper, and easier. If you have more than 50 copies, have complex printing needs, or need different types of paper, an online order through SOFO for a print job at the copy center will be most suitable. You will need to schedule an appointment for online order in order to submit a request to print at the copy center. A requisition, also known as a 312 rec or a blue rec, can be used to pay a sanitarian fee, public safety, UR Tech Store, post office, Barnes & Noble, Starbucks, and other university departments that have provided us with an invoice. You will be asked to upload a quote or invoice so that we have backup documentation for the requisition. If none is available, you can upload a document with the details of the order. Once a requisition has been prepared, SOFO will send it to the Department for Payment Processing. You will no longer be responsible for picking up the blue copy and turning it over to the vendor. If you have any questions or concerns, or receive contradicting information from a vendor, please be sure to let us know so that we can work with them to ensure payment is done properly and in a timely manner. Has an organization or university department requested or provided financial support from or to us? If you answered yes to this question, you can select Transfer as your payment method. As backup, you can include the email correspondence from the department so that the WCSA finance team can facilitate the internal transfer. This would include co-sponsorships. Back on the green form, we will use the name provided and the preferred vendor or payable to field in our data entry and when we issue payment to the vendor. So please use the correct information in this field. As a best practice for payment to an individual, reviewing the payable to on the contract or the name on the W-9 is a great way to ensure you have the correct name. For the "Is this request related to?" question, if your event or activity is hosted off campus, you will select the option that includes with travel. Please note that shopping trips to purchase supplies for an activity that will occur on campus are not considered activities with travel. Funding source is pretty straightforward. If you are purchasing using funds that have been allocated through the budgeting process, you will select subsidy or allocated budget. The most common case where you would select self-funded through income/rollover is if you are purchasing using funds from the vendor or Rocky's income, as these are typically funds that we do not allocate during budgeting. If you have received funding from another department, you can indicate that by selecting external funding. For the estimated cost, please try to be as accurate as possible. We do understand that certain vendors, such as facilities, are not able to provide an estimate until after an FAO has been assigned, which occurs after the green form is submitted. In regards to green form submissions, there is no such thing as too much documentation or information. Be specific and provide any and all information so that we can process your request quickly and correctly. In general, every green form submission should have some kind of documentation uploaded with it. We made a change to how you can make copies at the Ruth Merrill printer this year. Hopefully, it should cut down on the time it takes to print your copies. A green form and visit to SOFO is not needed. Student organizations must email the print-ready file to wcic@rochester.edu or bring a hard copy to the Common Connection. Common Connection staff employees will send the file to the Ruth Merrill printer and give you a copy card to use. Please note that you must leave your ID badge. Take a copy card to the Ruth Merrill printer, swipe in, and print release the job. After you received your copies, return the copy card to Common Connection and pick up your ID badge. It is the responsibility of the student organization to ensure that there is sufficient funding available to cover the costs of the print job. With the continued use of the virtual green form, your visits to the SOFO office for transactions will likely decrease. The only times that you must come see us is if you are picking up a credit card or requisition or returning a credit card and/or receipts. Also, if you would like to meet with someone to place an online order because submitting a list of items may not be feasible. Our current plan is to have all online orders be processed by our online order student accountants, so you will register for a time slot via the link provided in the virtual green form. Please plan ahead as time slots do fill up quickly. You can check the status of your green form by logging into CCC, selecting My Surveys and Forms from the left side menu, and then by checking the steps from the applicable green form. You should also be sure to check the chat for updates regarding your submissions in case additional information is required before moving forward. What's next? Take the Business Manager quiz and score 75% or higher. Familiarize yourself with your budget and your assigned student accountant. Thank you all for listening, and have a great year.